1 year ago today, I made the hardest decision of my life, to get into the best shape of my life while being in the worst one, at almost 40. In hindsight, it was the most difficult thing I had ever done in my life, but also the most rewarding. Let's rewind a little. For years, I had let myself go. I believed it was normal to gain weight with age. I tried portion control, but it left me hungry and frustrated. Every attempt backfired. I ended up gaining more and more weight instead. My diet? A so-called balanced diet, just like they advertise on TV, right? More plant-based than animal-based, vegetable oils such as canola, and lots of carbs. Rice, bread, pasta, chips, chocolates, 3 meals a day, and plenty of snacks in between, like everyone else. I also drank alcohol socially, but to be healthy, I added fruits like watermelons and vegetables as in salads, drenched in sauce. I even baked my own bread and pizza, thinking it was a better alternative, but it only made me eat more. To cut back on sugar, I switched to Coke Zero Sugar. It didn't help my weight at all. I also replaced sugar with honey. That didn't help either. I heard about intermittent fasting and gave it a shot, but skipping breakfast only made me ravenous at lunch. I ate twice as much. Worse, fasting made me irritable, anxious, and foggy-headed. I couldn't focus at work. It wasn't working. Then I tried keto, but I constantly craved carbs. Social events made it even harder. Free food everywhere, mostly carbs, not to mention alcohol. I didn't want to be the odd one out, so I gave in. To compensate, I trained harder at the gym until I got injured. First my shoulder, then my knee. Soon even walking was painful. My activity levels dropped and my weight skyrocketed. I used to be admired for my physique in my 20s, but now I was overweight, tired, and hormonally imbalanced. Symptoms of low T, and I blamed it on age. After all, 40 is midlife, right? They say you lose testosterone after 30 and especially 40, right? Wrong. I'll get to that later. By March 2024, I weighed 177 pounds with nearly 30% body fat. I hated how I looked, but I had accepted it until one night, everything changed. I saw a photo of an influencer that reminded me of my younger self. That was how I used to look like. I remembered the compliments, the confidence, the energy, and the girls. Now I was alone, overweight, and miserable. That night, I made a decision. No matter what, no matter how difficult, I was going to change. Even if I passed out from hunger, even if I had to do it without exercise, I would make my body great again. Since I was injured, I had no gym, no workouts. My only weapon, diet and discipline. Before I continue, if you're finding this relatable or inspiring, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support keeps me going and helps me share more content like this. Now let's dive into how I turned things around. On March 11, 2024, I took my first step. I bought a smart scale to track my progress and used an AI app to visualize my shredded gold physique. I saved the resulting picture on my phone's gallery and looked at it every day. That night, I ate freely because the next day everything would change. The next morning, I recorded my starting point. Then I fasted the entire day, which was a water fast. I adopted 1 meal a day diet, or OMAD, choosing dinner as my single meal as it suited me the best. The first days were brutal. The smell of food everywhere, colleagues ordering mouth-watering meals. Hunger was overwhelming and my stomach was growling non-stop, but I had made my decision. I had seen the other side and I would never go back ever again. Whenever hunger struck, I reminded myself if this was easy, everyone would have a great physique, but they don't. I looked around at other people my age and thought, I refuse to look like this anymore. Also, the hunger was actually a sign that it was in fact working, and the fat cells were requesting a refill. I ignored them, I starved them, I hated them. To control my hunger, I watched motivational videos and listened to success stories of other people. I drank black coffee, black tea, and green tea. After 10 days, I lost 5 pounds. Encouraged, I pushed forward. By April 20, after 40 days, I was down to 168 pounds, which was down 9 pounds since the start of the transformation. But then my weight plateaued. It was discouraging at first, but I could not afford to stop. I kept pushing. I wanted faster results, so I adjusted. I kept OMAD but switched to strict keto, and I chose the healthy version of keto, animal fats and no ultra-processed vegetable or seed oils. This time I stuck with it religiously. That's when the real magic happened. By May, my knee improved and I started walking more. I started from 1 mile, 4 days a week, and then gradually increased it. The weight began melting off. By the end of May, I weighed 159 pounds, and in 81 days I had lost 18 pounds. I hit my first goal of 150 pounds on June 14, 96 days in. For the first time in years, I saw abs in the mirror, but I wasn't done. I wasn't shredded yet, and I had love handles. I moved the needle and set a new goal of 140 pounds. By now, my body was fully fat adapted. Hunger was no longer an issue. My energy skyrocketed. Stairs felt effortless. I started walking 5 miles 2 to 3 times a week. By July 1st, I weighed 147 pounds. Afterwards, there was another plateau, but this time I knew this was only temporary and ignored it. I kept pushing. It took me another 45 days to lose another 7 pounds. I reached to 140 pounds by August 15, 5 months in. But still I wasn't fully shredded. My love handles were still there, especially on the back. I was at about 15% body fat. I had to go further. Now I knew I could and I would get to 10% body fat. At this point, weight loss slowed dramatically, so I made another change. I switched to a carnivore diet. My final goal, 130 pounds. Fat loss at this stage was painfully slow, but I stayed patient. My knee and shoulder pain improved, so I began light workouts and occasional running. In brackets, everyone at work hated my diet and the fact that I was different. I wasn't considered cool and nobody could relate to me. This is crucial in the corporate world and eventually led me to get fired. But that's another story for another video. By October 12, I had dropped to 139 pounds. And by late October 2024, I was down to 133 pounds. At this stage, my weight loss slowed down again and I hit my third plateau. But just like the previous times, I refused to let it discourage me and ignored it. The closer you get to 10% body fat, the harder it is to shed those last few pounds. Your body clings to its last resort fat stores. Finally, on January 11, 2025, I hit 131 pounds. At last, I was below 10% body fat. I did it. I was shredded and ripped. The love handles gone. As a bonus, thanks to intermittent fasting and the carnivore diet, my skin retained its elasticity and I avoided significant loose skin. It wasn't just my physique that transformed. I felt 20 again. My testosterone was soaring. The constant fatigue was gone and I was flying up the stairs with ease. Before we continue, let me ask you a question. What do you think was the best thing fasting did for me? Surprisingly, it wasn't just about fat loss. It transformed me as a person. I no longer get hangry like most people. Instead, I stay calm and content, even without food. A skill that's incredibly valuable to me. It gives me a lot of freedom. It feels like I've unlocked a higher level of mental and spiritual resilience. Fasting also made me stronger in ways beyond the physical. It proved that with discipline, the right strategy and effort, I can achieve anything I set my mind to. After reaching my goal of 10% body fat, I switched back from strict carnivore to keto and added some nuts, vegetables, and sometimes berries after the meal. I began experimenting with food and made keto desserts. I have uploaded my keto desserts recipes such as ice cream, chocolate, and yogurt tutorials. If you're interested, please watch. The links are in the description below. I also increased my workouts at home and built lean muscle, reaching 135 pounds while keeping my body fat under 10%. And then, on March 15, 2025, something unexpected happened that changed everything. But that's a story for another time. Subscribe to see what's next.